here today, unscheduled, just to wanted to mess around with a few cartoon voices. It's something I've seen a few people do on their own videos, so I wanted to see what we could do with that. Here, let me get my chat monitor up in case somebody does come in while I'm doing this, so I can kind of respond to you if you do. There we go, and do a quick sound check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Hey, nice and fast today. All right, this is just a real simple thing I'm going to do here. Let's see. We're going to start off with probably one of the more well-known voices out there today that I do. So let's go ahead and turn that on. You know, of course, everybody recognizes Shrek. This is Donkey. I'm an ogre. Ogres are like onions. This is my swamp. I'll do, Donkey. I'll do. Yeah, a little rough, I'm sure. I don't know how it'll come out until I watch the video, but that's Shrek, of course. And if we're going to start with Shrek, we got to move on to Shrek's bosom companion, Donkey. See how that looks there. Yeah, let's go ahead and shrink him up a little bit so you can see him a little bit better in the window. Let's see. There we go. And that's Donkey. And Donkey, of course, is in the morning I'm making waffles. Yes. I'm all alone. There's no one here to guide me. My troubles have all gone. There's nobody here to deride me. But you gotta have friends. Yep, this is Shrek and Donkey on another whirlwind adventure. Okay, that's just another simple voice. Like I said, I'm not doing a whole bunch today. I'm just trying this out first of all. I need to get it all set up to do a full recording, like 100 voices or something like some of the people have done. Uh, one more from Shrek. Why not? I've already got it queued up. So let's talk about a classic, which is of course Gingy. This is. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man! He's married to the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane. And of course, there's a little bit of Lord Farquaad in there. I don't have a picture of Farquaad, but it's Gingy. It says, "Not my gumdrop buttons." You know, he's classic. Probably one of the most beloved characters from Shrek, besides the two main characters, if not more beloved by some. And he's just a gingerbread cookie, you know, with his legs having been ripped off and stitched back together with some icing. Uh, he's still a rather popular pastry, as it were. And so I thought I'd do that. Let's see. Who do I have queued up next? I don't quite recall. I think next I have Gizmo from the Gremlins. Uh, and let's make him look a little bit bigger so you guys can get a good look at him. There we go. Going to have to adjust as some of these pictures come up. I tried pre-adjusting, but I found when I went on to the next picture, I would lose the adjustments on the previous pictures on the files I was using, because I'm using these just from Google Images. I'll probably need to save them and put them in a paintbrush file program or something so that I can do this a little bit better. Anyway, Gizmo is Mogwai. Yeah, you know, he's not a big one. Gizmo, Mogwai, bright light, bright light. It's been a while since I've seen the movies, so I could be way off from that anymore. But my generally my most popular part of Gizmo is when I do his little crooning song. Is although I don't know how that'll come out on the mic, because this kind of uses a mandible mic system, so I don't know how well that translates out. So after I view the video, we'll see. See what else do I have next. Next is SpongeBob. Let's go ahead and make him a little bit smaller. I can tell right away he's probably a bit big for the window I've got. There we go. SpongeBob is Patrick, Mr. Crab. He's of course not one of my favorite cartoon characters. I actually can't stand the SpongeBob SquarePants show, but he's really, really popular on Nickelodeon with the kids, and he is one of the most recognizable characters out there right now. So, of course, I had to do his voice. And if I'm gonna do SpongeBob, I got to do his buddy Patrick as well. So this is one of the ones that really made it to where I had to adjust the sizing. As you can see, it was a huge picture when it first came up. This is SpongeBob. It's been a little bit since I've seen even a SpongeBob episode, but he's a pretty recognizable character. But he's got that dopey kind of SpongeBob voice. Not as super distinct as SpongeBob himself, but most people can kind of recognize him in context when he's talking. I don't have a picture for Squidward right now, but he's maybe a little bit more distinct as SpongeBob. I hate SpongeBob. Or I also don't have one for Mr. Crab. It says, "Get me Krabby Patties." But of course, the whole thing is done in the pineapple under the sea kind of thing. Is this, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't know the actual whole song, so I'm not going to even bother trying to sing it. Still nobody showing up on chat, so let's see. Next. Okay. Let's see how that shows up. Needs to be bigger. I mean, everybody can pretty much recognize who this guy is already. But let's make him a little bit bigger for clarity. It's Eric Cartman. Yeah. I don't have any juice, Kenny. I hate you, Kenny. Now this one is not going to be put as safe for kids, so I will, of course, do the more colorful language for some of the characters here. Most of my videos, in fact, are just listed as not safe for kids, just so that I'm free to use adult language and stuff. It's not because it's risque or anything. It's just because, as an adult, speaking with adults, I like to be able to use comfortable adult language without having to censor myself when I'm broadcasting. So I pretty much make my videos all not safe for kids or not safe for work, as the category goes. If I ever do something that is I make sure to mark it as that. Like some of my seminars for Dungeons and Dragons and stuff are even specifically geared towards kids. I might even at some point try to read a story or something using some of my cartoon voices for the kids. I don't know how that'll work with the copyright people or not, so I'll have to try it once and see. Because I'm actually the one doing the reading and the voices, that part might be okay, but I'm not sure about the copyright for the book. Unless I just tell a classic like public domain story, like something from Aesop's Fables, that would work. But that's Eric Cartman. Still nobody in the channel. Let's see. I'm not expecting anybody. Like I said, this is a completely unscheduled thing I'm doing right now. Okay. For our older viewers, they remember Quick Draw McGraw. He's part of the Hanna-Barbera set of cartoons, which includes like Yogi Bear and Flintstones and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, Baba Louie, um, El Kabong." El Kabong was when he dressed up kind of as a superhero. He just had a domino mask and a cape and a cowboy hat. But he would show up and go, "El Kabong," and he talked to his buddy Baba Louie all the time, and he did different like kind of westernish themed cartoon stuff in the campier Hanna-Barbera type style. Back, of course, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, cartoons for the younger kids especially had a much simpler feel to them. They didn't have any like upward real plot. It was just colorful, animated anthropomorphic characters that could keep the kids' attention. So we had Looney Tunes, and we had Woody Woodpecker, and we had the Hanna-Barbera crowd, and Quick Draw McGraw was from that. If you're a younger viewer, you would not necessarily recognize him. Although, with the advent of things like Boomerang, there are still people watching reruns. Oh, now let's see. After Quick Draw, of course, I did go ahead and put Baba Louie on there. Baba Louie is, of course, Quick Draw's sidekick, and he's a burro or donkey. Donkey! No, wrong donkey. Uh, but, and he'd go, "A quick draw." So he had a very similar voice to like Speedy Gonzales, but he didn't speak as fast. So it was just a kind of a very Latin American thing because he was a Latin American burro with a sombrero. They were not worried about racial profiling as much back in that era, and so a lot of the characters would get automatic ethnic traits based on these things, not because of inclusivity so much as because it was distinct and it would stick into people's minds. But in a way, they were the beginnings of the foundation for inclusivity because all these different anthropomorphic animals of different animal races did work together in several situations, and humans uh, are closer, uh, genetically speaking, to each other, by ethnicity than the actual very different races of these anthropomorphic animals, because a horse and a donkey are sort of related, but the donkey or burro uh, could be the separate animal race, or it could be a mule, which is then a cross between a donkey and a horse. So, and they're usually a sterile combination. But even then, you had other animals that got along together. Yogi Bear was, of course, a bear, but he was a friend with Quick Draw McGraw. Augie Dog and Doggy Daddy were dogs. Um, Heathcliff was a cat, and well, maybe he's not a great example. He never really got along with Spike the dog much, but still. Anyway, I digress. Just kind of filling the air here. That's what you get when you do these unscripted, improvised shots. Now, of course, one of the things that started a lot of the uh, big anthropomorphic animal craze things, one of the most popular ones was the things that came out of Jim Henson Studios, and the Muppets was his big thing. And the main character he created that to this day is kind of his primary character, even though he started out as a lizard, then evolved into a frog, is Kermit. Hi ho, this is Kermit the Frog. Someday I'll find you. The Rainbow Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. Uh, so Kermit, of course, leader of the Muppets, boyfriend and such to Miss Piggy. I love you, Miss Piggy. Is a classic character, probably the one that's associated with Jim Henson the most. Although if you look at Sesame Street, one of his other big creations, even though Kermit was part of Sesame Street, Big Bird is probably the most well known from that subset, but Kermit is still kind of there, but he did so many different characters. And when I do the bigger video with more voices, I will probably include some other Muppets to it. I am including at least one other Muppet to go with Kermit, but I will include people like Grover and the Count. I mean, the Count is really easy. One, two, two Muppets. Ah, ah, ah. And Grover is Super Grover. There's a monster at the end of the book. It's probably my most popular voice for when I used to work daycare, because I would read the book by Sesame Street, The Monster at the End of the Book, which is a Grover book. And so I would use Grover's voice throughout the book to entertain the children. So I'm really, really comfortable in being Grover. Um, but anyway, the other Muppet I'm including with an actual face is, of course, Miss Piggy. Oh, Kermie! I can't do a whole lot of Miss Piggy because she's a very high feminine voice, and that's not what I've got. But I can do some. She does, yeah, and it's, but her big one is oh Kermie. Then of course there was an animated show later on for the Muppets called the Muppet Babies, and it took animation by storm. And there was slightly younger variations of the voices used, but it was like Muppet Babies, we do things, we make our dreams come true. Muppet Babies will do the same for you. I like adventure. I like, you know, and so on. Again, not what I'm going into right now, but I'll probably cover some of the Muppet Babies in a future video if this goes well. I mean, obviously, if this turns out to not be as great on playback on this kind of microphone, I might wait until I get a different, better microphone with a filter and set up my studio in our new house, and then I'll revisit it. Because at some point, I'm going to do like 100 or so voices just to see if I can do 100 voices on camera. But let's move on. Oh, yep, another big cartoon fascination for a lot of people was, of course, Winnie the Pooh in the Hundred Acre Woods. And probably, even though Pooh was the lead character, the signature character that everybody thinks of, him and, of course, the boy Peter Robin, um, Tigger is probably the most popular character. And he's definitely my favorite. He's the most energetic character, the most fun, light-hearted character, which is, I think, one of the things children identified with the most. And he's like, "Oh, the wonderful thing about Tigger is a Tigger is a wonderful thing. Our tops are made out of cotton. Our bottoms are made out of string. This is bouncy, bouncy, bounce. It's Tigger. Excuse me. It's Tiggerific. Pooh. Tigger's here." Um, so of course, I had to include Tigger in here. He's as one of my favorite characters. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, one of the Disney movies that had probably one of the best receptions of all the movies I've seen for Disney in a long time was, of course, Lilo and Stitch, and everybody fell in love with the little alien character of Stitch, which was a very popular character. He was actually designed as a weapon of mass destruction by an alien race used to, take over planets as a war effort. But he ends up coming on to Hawaii in the United States and gets adopted as a pet by Lilo, who is a rambunctious little girl who doesn't conform to everybody else's views. So her mom decides to get her a pet to maybe see if that'll mellow her out, and she gets Stitch. Not exactly what you want to give a rambunctious child, is the living embodiment of destruction. Um, when you first see Stitch, he's got an extra set of arms, which he sucks into himself to be more like the dogs at the pound where he gets picked up at, and everything. But he's known to growl, but he can actually make some words, and he learns some of the Hawaiian words. My favorite quote of his is "Ohana family." Family means nobody gets left behind. Nobody gets left behind or forgotten. The other one that's really popular of his, and another one that I really like is, "This is my family. It is small and broken, but still good." Yeah, still good. Um, so Stitch is just one of my favorite characters to do as a voice, and so I had to include him on this set. I especially want to hear how he comes out on the playback when I do listen to the playback. Um, what do we have next? Only have a few more prepped. Oh, if you grew up in the 80s, you are very well familiar with their Thundercats. Now, there was a reboot of the Thundercats, or actually kind of a continuation of the Thundercats, which I'm kind of rewatching right now. But in it, Snarf's in it, but Snarf in this one is more of a pet. He doesn't have the ability to speak. He just makes cooing kind of noises um, and goofy grins. But in the original, Snarf was the nursemaid for Lion-O, the chief Thundercat, who was a young boy in the start of the series, um, who grows up mostly in suspended animation. So he jumps to being an adult, young adult, without ever having gone through some of the intervening years. But Snarf was around as nursemaid to keep him out of trouble. And Snarf is still there through the whole series. In fact, he even gets a nephew later on in the series called Snarfer. But he goes, Snarf, Snarf. Everybody forgets about poor old Snarf. Lionel. And then, of course, Snarf was very, very similar. It was like, Snarfer. He's a little bit higher voice, a little bit narrower. So you kind of go, Snarfer. Uncle Snarf. Of course, it's been a while since I've seen the episodes with Snarfer, so I could be getting Snarfer a little bit more wrong than I think. But Snarf is a great character still, and one I had to include. Let's see, who else do we have? I'm almost done. I think I've got like 3 more. Okay, there was a show on, it was, I think, Cartoon Network. It was either Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, called Cow and Chicken. And it was part of the whole I Am Weasel family of shows. Cat Dog, I Am Weasel, and stuff like that. And Cow and Chicken were brother and sister. One's a cow, one's a chicken. The brother is cow. The sister is chicken. And cow is huge, but the younger sister to chicken, who's like about a third of cow's size, and they have a human set of parents, so they like, I guess, adopted kids. And she would go, I love you, big brother. And it's been a while since I've actually heard Cow and Chicken, so I might be misdoing the voice right now. But I could go through it and hear it, and then listen to her actually speak and stuff, because I can do Cow. I just it's been a while, so I'm not sure if I'm doing it right now. And then finally, the last one, I've got both of them in one picture. It was very popular, one of the first real adult cartoons out there. Of course, we're talking about Ren and Stimpy, which also introduced us to things like Log and Shaving a Yak and things like that. I think there were some other characters that spun off from that. In fact, I Am Weasel even I almost kind of think that spun off of Ren and Stimpy. I know the Itchy and Scratchy show did. But it was, you fat, bloated idiot! Shut up and look stupid. If you don't shut up, I'll roll you up in a little ball and I'll shove you up your own butt. That was Ren. He was like, it's all so clear to me now. I'm the keeper of the cheese, and he knows it, and he's trying to kill us. Where Stimpy was much more happy-go-lucky. He was like, I love you, Ren. Let's sing the Happy Happy Doy Doy song. Happy Happy Doy Doy, Happy Happy Doy Doy, Happy 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 Doy Doy. I'll teach you to be happy. I'll teach your grandmother to suck eggs. I love you, Ren. And that's Ren and Stimpy. Of course, like I said, they introduced things as the funny commercials like Log. What rolls downstairs alone or in pairs right over your neighbor's dog? It's good for a snack. It fits on your back. It's Log, Log, Log. Slog, it's Log. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. Slog, it's Log. It's better than bad, it's good. Everyone loves a log. Everyone needs a log. New log from Blammo. You got to have those announcer voices. I mean, I didn't actually include any of these in the ones because they're announcers. They don't have pictures. But like, for instance, there was the deep voice from Super Friends is, meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice. Uh, Although in some seasons, actually Ted Knight did the announcer for that, and so it had a little bit more of a smarmy voice to it. It's like, meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice. um, so yeah, there was things, and then there was various actors that did voices in older shows and cartoons and stuff, and sometimes they'd narrate, and sometimes they'd play bit characters and things like. And one of my favorites for that, and I don't have a picture of him set up right now, was Peter Lorre. He's like, don't ever, ever do that. It makes me so angry. He did a really good like Renfield kind of character quite often. The mad scientist assistant or the mad scientist was kind of Peter Lorre's thing, but of course he's an old black and white actor, so modern kids don't necessarily know who he is. Another older actor that I used to like to do voices of is Jimmy Stewart. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. You want a beefsteak, Harley? Um, Merry Christmas, everyone. He's from, of course, classic Christmas movies like It's a Wonderful Life, um, and he did some westerns. So yeah, Jimmy Stewart. And then, of course, one of my favorite narrators of all was Bela Lugosi, who narrated the Grinch cartoon, the first Grinch cartoon before Jim Carrey came and did the live action, and then we got a new kind of a cartoon, kind of Pixar-y Grinch after that. But he was like, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch." The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stank, stunk. So I love characters like that come in, and of course a very famous one that did a lot of voice acting and did some very recognizable regular characters, not just coming in as bit characters, but he actually generally had regular characters on a lot of older cartoons. Was Casey Kasem's, who did the New Year's Eve countdown of the best music for the year, and his but his most famous voice was as Shaggy in the Scooby Doo cartoons. I don't have a picture queued up for Shaggy, but Shaggy was. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Scoob? Zoinks! Um, and so he was often to that. He also was the voice of Robin in the Batman and Robin cartoon, which often crossed over like at least 3 or 4 times with Scooby Doo. On the Scooby Doo show, they never had the Scooby Gang show up on the Batman and Robin show, as far as I know. But the other way around happened at least 3 or 4 times. But then Scooby Doo was known for having guest stars. In fact, there was even the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, which featured Vincent Price in the show as a regular voice actor. But the Harlem Globetrotters would come visit them. They even had an episode of Supernatural where they were zapped into a Scooby Doo episode. So Sam and Dean Winchester. So Scooby Doo is pervaded most of our culture. It's not my favorite cartoon. I got a little bit irritated with too much Scooby Doo. Like I said, there were just so many cartoons back in the day, uh, and there were great voices, great characters. There was Yogi Bear, hey, boo boo. Let's go get some picnic baskets. I don't think the ranger's gonna like this, Yogi. Fuck the ranger, boo boo. Always wanted to hear Yogi say that. Just fuck the ranger. I want my picnic baskets. You know. Then of course there were the Disney characters, which other than Stitch, I didn't really go through any Disney characters. Although suffice it to say, a lot of the characters I did go through are now owned by Disney, even if they weren't necessarily before. Shrek, for instance, is a Disney character. Come to think of it, but because Disney owns Pixar, uh, among other things. But I never went through the classic Disney cartoon characters like, of course, Mickey, who actually got his start as a mouse called Mortimer Mouse in a cartoon short called Steamboat Willie. But he's, ha ha, I'm Mickey Mouse, and you just gotta get high in the throat for that. Sometimes I don't think I'm quite high enough to truly do Mickey. But my favorite here, and it's a little bit of a variation on the Tigger voice, but it was his main sidekick uh, for Mickey was Goofy. Oh, gosh. Oh, yup. We can go get that done right now. And then there was, of course, Donald Duck. In fact, one of my favorite scenes from Who Framed Roger Rabbit was the dueling piano scene where Daffy Duck from the Looney Tunes and Donald Duck from the Disney properties were playing dueling pianos together. And what's fun there is you got Donald with his barely intelligible, and then you got Daffy going, "This is the last time I work with somebody with a speech impediment." While he obviously has a speech impediment himself. Now, of course, there was really very little difference between Daffy Duck and Sylvester the Cat from the Looney Tunes. They're almost the same voice, because you get Daffy going, "You're despicable," and then you get Sylvester going, "I just need that little bird." So I say we'll sneak in when Granny's asleep, climb up a ladder, and steal the bird. Yes. Um, oh no, I thought he thought a putty cat. I did see a putty cat. I noticed I actually didn't do a lot of the Looney Tunes as well. Um, of course, Bugs led the Looney Tunes. Yeah, what's up, Doc? Uh, and there's characters such as Marvin the Martian. "I need my little P-36 explosive space modulator. I'm going to blow up the Earth. It obstructs my view of Venus." But you get Bugs, of course, also sometimes used kind of his own characters within the character of being Bugs. Like when he's trying to con somebody, he says, "Monsters are such interesting creatures. They always say such interesting things." You know, um, and you had Porky Pig and you had Yosemite Sam. But probably my favorite of all of the Looney Tunes was, if it wasn't Marvin the Martian, because he's great, would have to be the Tasmanian Devil. Rabbit. Um, then there's the hunter slash Indian that showed up in some of them, kind of as a replacement for or a more primitive version of Elmer Fudd, who would show up even, "I'm gonna catch me a rabbit. I'm gonna cook him right in this pot. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hug him and squeeze him and love him and name him George. Okay, George. Um, so those kind of characters showed up. I didn't do pictures for them. I didn't want to overload my browser the first time out doing it, and like I said, I had these all saved on a browser page. Next time I'll probably do them on Paint and just have various Paint windows open and then just have it point to my Paint windows instead, um, for my window capture. But that's the show. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about before I logged out? I don't even know how long the show's been going. Let's see here. I didn't put that monitor up. So let's see real quick. This show's been going for about 41 minutes, though I've almost done an hour. Nobody's coming in that time, but that's okay. They can always watch the reruns. I'll wait to put this on YouTube till I've had a chance to review it, of course. But let's see, what was I going to talk about before I left? Oh, yeah. When you talk about the Looney Tunes, you also got to talk about their later kind of almost like their answer to the Muppet Babies and some of the other stuff out there. They did the Tiny Toons, which was the younger versions of them, just like the Muppet Babies were younger versions of the Muppets, and they were almost as successful as the Muppet Babies were in some circles. Although I think the Muppet Babies is probably one of the most successful cartoon adaptations they ever came out with. But it was, they're tiny, they're toony, they're all a little loony. In this cartoony, they're invading your TV. The comic disasters, they crap up all the Simpsons. Tiny Toon adventures get a dose of comedy. Here's Acme Acres, we're a whole wide world apart. It's a cartoon work of art. The scripts were rejected. Expect the unexpected. The Tiny Toon adventures were about to start. They're furry, they're funny, they're Babs and Buster Bunny. Montana Max has money, Elmira is a thing. Hampton and Plucky and Dizzy Devil's Ducky. Furballs and Lucky and Go-Go is insane. At Acme University, we earn our Toon degrees. The teaching staff's been getting lost since 1933. And another one that kind of came out of that kind of idea was the Animaniacs. It's time for Animaniacs, 'cause they're zany to the max. Just sit back and relax, you'll laugh till you collapse. The Animaniacs. Come meet the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister Dot. Just for fun, they run around the Warner movie lot. Lock us in the tower whenever we get caught. We vamoose and we get loose and then vamoose, and now you know the plot. We're Animaniacs. Yakko's cute and Wacko's cute and Yakko Yaks. Yakko puts away the snacks as Bo Clinton plays the sax. They're Animaniacs. Come meet Pinky and the Brain who want to rule the universe. Button slap Mindy. Sandy Wapson with her purse. Good feathers rock together. While Rita sings a verse. The writer's flip, we have no script. Why bother to rehearse? It was pretty good. But you had, of course, I'm Yakko. I'm Wacko. I'm Dot. And I'm not the best at doing them. Wacko is probably my best. And he's very similar to the a Ringo Starr kind of voice. But one of their favorite lines from that is, "Hello, nurse." Which is quite quite similar to back in the day when the Looney Tunes would do the, the like somebody would see like a knockout gorgeous girl. They would do the old fashioned jalopy car horn. Auga! You know, but that's where the hello nurse and Auga were the same kind of thing. Kind of remember that from stuff, and then you, of course, they turn around and say, "Oh man!" But more popular than the Warner Brothers and Warner Sisters, though, I think in that cartoon, probably the most popular characters in the show, so much that they got their own spinoff, was Pinky and the Brain. The Pinky and the Brain, the Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. The laboratory mice, the brains have been spliced. The Pinky and the Brain, brain. This is, what do you want to do today, Brain? Same thing we do every day, Pinky. Try to take over the world. I'm not real great at Brain, but I can do a great Pinky. No. Are you pondering what I'm pondering? I think so, Brain. But where are we going to get the live chicken? There's always some weird innuendos in the background there. I think I mentioned some of the like cartoon stuff when I was doing like cow and chicken stuff, and I didn't go into a lot of the ones from that, but you had, of course, Dexter's Laboratory. You're stupid. You're stupid. Oh yeah, you're stupid. It was Dexter. It was a little boy who was a super genius who kind of had all kinds of mad plots, and then he had his sister Dee Dee that would come invade his lab. Hi, Dexter! And she was a sparkly unicorn rainbow loving girl who totally Dexter didn't get. Dexter had an arch enemy, Mandark. I can't remember the actor's name that did the voice, but he did a lot of the like evil nerds throughout a lot of cartoon and live action stuff. He's like, he turns in the first episode. He shows up though. He does turn to Dexter in the schoolroom as they got desks next to each other, and he goes, "Yes, Dexter, I can read your mind, and I am smarter than you." He always had that Mandark laugh. His name was Mandark. Like I said, I don't remember the actor's name that did the voice, but he's done a lot of those kind of nerdy characters throughout the years. A lot of voiceover stuff, a few live action gigs. Other ones from that cartoon kind of spat of things was Ed, Edd and Eddy, of which Ed is probably the big stupid one was the one I can do the best. Is, "I'm not in my happy place, Double D. But Eddie, it's time to watch the zombie that ate the planet, and I really want to go." They had various characters there, like Rolf, Ed Voice, um, and they were one of my favorite little cartoons. They were the kid next door, but I didn't really memorize any of the voices for them. Uh, the Powerpuff Girls, Sugar, Spice, and Everything Nice, plus Chemical X. They're actually making a live action Powerpuff Girls. I'm not so sure about, as they're supposed to be taking away a lot of the campiness, which is kind of the whole point of the Powerpuff Girls. And it's supposed to be them older because, of course, they're very, very, very young in the cartoon. Um, Mr. Mayor was probably one of my favorite characters from that show. Was it? Um, call the I can't remember how his voice goes right now. I'd have to hear it. But then they had popular villains like Mo Jojo. I am going to go take over the world, but first I will do the dishes that I've dirty from the food that I've eaten. Because he always over explained everything. Mo Jojo. And he was like a super intelligent ape. Then there was him, which is like a mechanical Satan character. But him wants to take over the Powerpuff Girls. So he was always a nice character when you're dealing with it. We got about 9 minutes left to get to that hour mark. That's what I'm trying to do is just kill a little time, so I can at least say I broadcast for an hour. I haven't been doing a whole lot of broadcasting lately, so this just gets a taste out there. I will be broadcasting starting. Well, I still do my talk show every Wednesday night with my co-hosts from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we talk anything and everything involving the nerdosphere. And often we go over that by as much as an hour. Um, but also starting tomorrow, we have another alpha test for Fractured, the MMO, launching tomorrow, and it'll be going for 3 weeks. So for the next 3 weeks, I'll be doing some several unscheduled broadcasts of Fractured um, playtesting, with usually running around with my sister Erica, who's in California. So we talk on Discord. So I open up either my Discord or my town Discord channel, and we talk on that as I broadcast. And you get to see me. Mine's the only picture you get to see, but you get to see our characters running around, fighting the various things, or building stuff, or doing skills, or what have you in the game. Um, and it's a wonderful game that we've been alpha testing now for, especially during COVID. We've been the whole time COVID's been going on. Every time an alpha test would open up, which they've been about three to four a year. Each one lasts for about a month. There's usually supposed to be one per season, but it hasn't always ended up that way. And now this time they're going for a little bit shorter, with only doing 3 weeks, because a lot of the people in the forum, it's kind of recommended that last week especially, you almost had no testers in because they'd already tested everything by then. If then the only thing you might have is some people waiting for them to implement a couple of last minute changes, and they may or may not even get those in. So it's probably better just to end the playtest early and then move those new changes to the next playtest. And so I think that's what they're going to try to do. So you will catch us playing that for the next 3 weeks. I am getting ready to move, as I've mentioned on other shows. And once I move, I'll probably get back to doing some scheduled programming other than my talk show. I'll get back to playing um, Old School RuneScape and EverQuest, both of which are the two main games I play online in between alpha tests. And then when an alpha test comes up, those kind of go by the wayside. Or I might play a little bit of Old School RuneScape uh, during the daytime here while the girlfriend works from home, because it doesn't take as much computer power to run. And so, because she has exclusive use of the home internet, so I would use my phone as Wi-Fi hotspot and go on and play a little bit of Old School RuneScape, which is a lot less demanding, especially since you can play Old School RuneScape as a phone app. So so I'll probably be back to playing that, and I have of course got an hardcore character there, as well as a main character. So we'll see how quickly I can jump back into those. Also, if I hear about any events coming up in those, I might jump in for that. But who knows? I do like to participate in some of that event type stuff, if I can. See, we got about 5 minutes before we hit the hour mark. What other voices I can do? I mean, I love Will Smith and Robin Williams both as the genie from Aladdin. It's Prince Ali, marvelous Ali Baba, strong as 10 regular men, definitely. He beat the galloping hordes, 1,000 bad guys with swords, and bring them back to my lord with Prince Ali. Which is, hey, Aladdin. Hey, you mind if I call you Al or Din, or how about Laddie? Hey, Laddie boy. You know, it's like it's always poof. What do you need? Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Um, of course, they had wonderful songs in that, like a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no or where to go. You know, that kind of thing. I love musicals. So that's how to do a lot of musical impressions. In fact, I'm probably most well known for doing like CCR. I shouldn't get in any DMCA trouble right now since I'm doing this acapella stuff like "Oh Susie Q, oh Susie Q, oh Susie Q, baby I love you, Susie Q. I like the way you walk, I like the way you talk." I like the way you walk, like the way you talk, Susie Q. Um, but I also do other voice kind of imitations like David Lee Roth, Just a Gigolo. I'm just a gigolo, and everywhere I go, people know the part I play. Paid for every dance, selling each romance. What they say. There will come a day where youth will pass away. What do they say about me? When the end comes, I know I was just a gigolo. Life goes on without me. Hamala baby zebula poobala, hamala baby zebula pop. I ain't got nobody. Nobody cares for me. Nobody. Nobody cares for me. You know, which is kind of just a variation on the Louis Armstrong voice from Wonderful World. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. Also, for another variation on that, is when I do Georgia on My Mind. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song has Georgia on my mind. So, you know, I love doing those kind of voices as well. Um, So I don't just do like cartoony voices. I love to do voices of that nature anyway. But it looks like my girlfriend and her son are back, so I'm going to go ahead and log off now. Hope everybody enjoyed. If anybody ever sees this, actually, as nobody came in while I was actually broadcasting, but this was just to play around. Talk to you next time. Have a good time.